Matter and antimatter, our reality. Welcome to the Invertone channel. My name is René Garasig. I am a sound engineer and author of the Sonic Quantique that I have been developing for about 30 years now. A question that often comes up when we talk about quantum sound. Why the word quantum? The answer is very simple. It is one of the new words in science and international literature that is used to evoke what is acceptable, but scientifically difficult to understand. It is simply because this word is part of the intangible world, that is to say, immaterial. It is indeed easier to believe in what we see than to believe in what we do not see. Thus, this word is part of the opposite world, that is to say, of the immaterial. Without starting in an explanation of all the concepts described by the word quantum, I would remain personally to the antimaterial description reported by physicists such as Paul Dirac or Carl Anderson. The first formalized the theory of the electron, and its equation predicted the existence of a particle having the same mass as the electron, but with an opposite charge, hence the anti-electron or positron. The second developed this concept experimentally with this notion of antiparticle. Finally, I would add that Democritus, the Greek philosopher of the 5th century BC, proposed that the universe was composed of indivisible atoms moving in a vacuum. So, if the vacuum can be taken into account, it is absent of material particles and filled with immaterial particles. Well, real and active? At least that's what I think. Indeed, how can global knowledge be confined to material explanations? Is it necessary to ignore spiritual concepts, the soul, the invisible, faith, religion, and the unknown? These terms could evoke the concepts of antimatter, because string theory opens a door to understanding between particles and their antiparticles. Both concepts are accepted by the scientific community as a whole. It is therefore very easy to speak of matter, because it is accessible to our senses. So tangible, so true, as we say. As for antimatter, humanity tends to classify it in the field of the intangible. So remains to be proved materially, because it escapes the rules of the tangible. So, what do we do? Is creation limited to matter? I'll give you an example that will probably shock you a little, or maybe even a lot. We agree that our senses capture the events of life around us. We know that they are received in a frequency form. Indeed. Our ears hear sounds, so frequencies. Our eyes see images, so lights, so photons or electromagnetic waves. Touch, taste, and smell are also transmitted to the brain by the nervous system, which carries electromagnetic information. We now understand that the relationship of man to his environment is frequential. These frequencies are invisible, but they do exist. It's already a step towards where I want to get at. And if all that surrounds us, humans, nature, animals, mountains and oceans, stars, space and time, and everything that makes up the universe, were only information that exists only in the vibratory state, and would be picked up by our senses certainly also by our DNA. This would mean that everything can exist in the immaterial state, and that our senses would be able to transform them into material perceptions. What would be the most tangible part of both? Matter or antimatter? Let's take an example that we have all checked repeatedly. When we fall asleep on our bed, we can start dreaming. So we move from the state of wakefulness to another state of consciousness. Which would be material and which would be immaterial? In fact, both. Both are material and immaterial, real and unreal. It depends on the state of consciousness from which observation is made. During the dream, the consciousness seems to be that of the dream. And during the awakening, the consciousness seems to be or is that of the awakening. The two so-called consciences are part of one global and indivisible consciousness. This is why matter and antimatter are inseparable, interdependent, and irremediably associated. One cannot exist without the other. Antimatter is the cause of matter and matter is the consequence of antimatter. The reverse is equally true, because one cannot exist without the other. Each side justifies the existence of the other. From this point on, how can we favor one over the other? From any scientific, philosophical, or even therapeutic perspective, it is therefore important to take into account this matter-antimatter approach, which is at the same time complete, probably indispensable, because it is surprisingly precise, revealing, deep and detailed of the human being, nature, animals, minerals, as well as all manifestations of creation. It is, in my opinion, a question of quality of connection, appreciation, respect, and why not love, not only to others and all things, but above all to ourselves. So, thank you for your attention and see you soon for new information.